Welcome to the Tarryn Reeves Show, where your journey to empowerment takes center stage. I'm your host, Tarryn Reeves, best-selling author and publishing expert. Together, we'll dive into the hearts and minds of visionaries, disruptors, and trailblazing leaders to explore the most compelling and thought-provoking ideas in life, business, and marketing. Let's inspire, impact, and ignite. This is the Tarryn Reeves Show. Welcome to another episode of the Tarryn Reeves Show. Today, I am joined by one of my long-term clients and favorite people, Anjani Amriit. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
My absolute pleasure. Now, Anjani is a reformed corporate lawyer turned Eastern influenced holistic leadership and women's empowerment expert. She's a socialpreneur, speaker, and author. And she went from personal crisis to profound contribution. What a journey. So after dedicating 16 plus years to the cause in the top law firms in the UK and Australia, with no personal strategies to manage the high pressure environment, she burned out. So she retreated to India to eat, pray, and love herself back to well-being, resurrecting the ruins of her career based on Eastern holistic practices. Over the last decade, Anjani has worked with influential founders, leaders, and teams across the globe, including the likes of Apple, Adobe, and Visa, using Eastern technologies with Western philosophies and is regularly featured in the media. Anjani trains burned out, unhappy leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives in how to master the business of themselves, to up-level their potential, live their highest purpose, and drive meaningful change and impact. Anjani, you are an incredible person, an incredible leader. I can't wait to dive into this with you. People are going to get so much juicy content. So you wrote with me recently in the multi-author book project called Corporate Dropouts. Can you give our listeners and viewers a sneak peek of what your chapter was about in that book?
Oh, it's a reveal all. It's very revealing, and it's entitled An Awakening Soul, and is literally my story of how I woke up one day and realized that it was time to make some big changes in my life. And that realization that I came to that day was petrifying. I made the changes and I was full of fear. I didn't know what I was going into. I didn't know what would happen. But all I knew was I had to follow this inner voice, this soft whisper inside of me that was telling me things needed to change. And so it's really about how I transitioned out of my corporate role as a lawyer and went to India, studied with masters. I learned some powerful techniques and practices from amazing yogis over in India, and then brought that back into what I do now as a socialpreneur, helping others really get to the core of who they are, connect to their soul, get happy, get healthy, find their purpose, and do something meaningful. It starts from, I talk about my early years when I was where I grew up, which is North Yorkshire, rough area, mining town, a very working class family, to how I got to really prestigious top law firm in the world, really, and then how I moved on then to become an entrepreneur. It's all in there, action-packed.
Yes, it is. That it is. It's such a beautiful read too. It's such a wild journey, I guess, as most of our lives are. Now, tell me, what was it like working in the international legal space? I imagine it was very glitz glamour, but also very high pressure politics. What was it like?
Was full on. It was a ride. I mean, from the outside looking in, it would look glamorous. I was flying around the world, business class, working on $1 trillion deals. I would be, wined and dined at the finest restaurants. I'd stay in the best hotels. I was earning a truckload in an insane amount of money. But you have to sell your soul for that. And I did. And I remember thinking to myself, when I walked in the door at work every day, I would say to myself, I just need to check in my soul at the door here. And it was literally like that. I had to become a different person in order to fit in, I believed at the time. And so I became very masculine. It was a very male dominated industry at the time. And also because I worked in corporate law, that was even more male dominated. So when I would go into a room, I'd often be the only woman in a room of 20 to 30 people. And they'd be myself and my junior, who was often male, and I would be mistaken as the secretary. And so it was an uphill battle. And so I just tried to fit in. I changed my accent because I was from Yorkshire. And, in those days, it probably still is in the UK. When I first qualified in the UK, I wasn't even getting past the door when they heard my accent. So I had elocution lessons, and then I wore trouser suits and flat boots, cut my hair short. I swore a lot. I went for beers with the boys. All of these things, I became very masculine in my demeanor, lost all my sense of femininity, lost all my sense of softness, intuition, creativity, and became almost a machine. And it was very damaging to me mentally, emotionally, and physically. I'm not saying that the law did that to me. I'm saying I did that to me because I believed that was how I had to be to fit in and get the success that I needed. And I believe that I had to do law or be a doctor or a lawyer. I bought into that lie that society tells you that you have to have this amazing job and then you're successful. And I know looking back, I was really out to prove something to myself that I was good enough. I could succeed. I wasn't just a country bumpkin from a mining town. I did it to myself, basically.
Were you aware of what was happening when you were becoming more and more masculine? Were you aware, or is it hindsight that's giving you that clarity?
Yeah, it's a good question. I had no idea. I was just totally asleep doing it. And I had no mentors. There was no role models in my life to help me.
Yeah.
So I just was going on culturally and what society was saying was success. And yeah, that because I had no mentors, because I had no role models, and everyone else at work was doing 22 hours a day, then that's what I believed everyone had to do in order to be quote unquote successful.
Yeah.
So I had absolutely no idea. And I was working on deals. You'd work on these deals and it would be 22, 23-hour days for months and months on end, negotiating 300-page contracts with teams of people, getting very specialized on aircraft warranties that I had no idea about. And you would just get thrown in. And the people who were your partners in the law firm, they were kind of like sink or swim. That was the environment. Sink or swim, we'll just give it to you.
Yeah.
A deal on your desk with a little sticky note, deal with this. And you were leading the deal, you were leading these deals, working 22-hour days. I remember falling asleep at my desk and then waking up in the morning and getting my secretary to buy me a new blouse so I could just keep working. I mean, it was insane. I had no life, no work-life balance. There was no such thing in those days.
Yeah.
Harrowing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think harrowing sounds like the correct word. And I think it's so dangerous as well that when we are in these corporate environments and we're working, we suddenly get on this treadmill and we're running faster and faster and faster, but we're not even aware of it. It's like the silent thing that sneaks up on you and steals your very self, your very soul. And you don't realize.
Yeah.
What was that moment of realization for you? What suddenly gave you that little bit of a slap, if you like?
I went to a meditation class basically because my boss was saying, do something about your performance anxiety, do something about how you're showing up, and not really giving me any suggestions other than do something. So one of my colleagues suggested meditation and said, why don't you try meditation? That might help you. And so I just Googled a class and went one day to this meditation. It was in a yoga school and I went in and you had to climb these stairs and there were all these thongs on the bottom of the stairs. So I took my shoes off and creeped up the stairs and got up there and I felt so out of place. I'd never been to anything like that. I was this intellectual lawyer and here I was going to meditation. I had no idea what to expect. Everyone was tie-dye wearing, pink haired, lots of piercings, and I felt so out of place. But yet something was pulling me in. Something pulled me in. And I went to sit down and everyone was chatting to each other. And I was just sat there all by myself thinking, what the hell am I doing? And the teacher walked in and everyone hushed, and he started talking us, he said, close your eyes, and he started talking us into this meditation. And something really profound happened. I literally left my body and had this full on experience of being surrounded by golden light.
Mhm.
And the meditation lasted an hour, but it felt like a couple of minutes. And then I heard him say, coming back into your body, coming back. And I felt in complete bliss. And I had this stupid grin on my face that didn't come off for 3 days. I was literally in bliss for 3 days.
Wow.
That was the game changer for me. And I just thought to myself, I have no idea what this is, but I want more. I want this. And that led me on to discovering spirituality and yoga and meditation, and led to a massive, over a decade journey of really my own personal transformation.
So, what do you think was your biggest learning from your time in corporate?
It wasn't anything to do with law.
Okay.
I'd spent literally the best of almost a decade training to become a lawyer and doing all the work to get there. The biggest thing that I really learned from being a lawyer was that unless you're being yourself, and unless you're following your own path, your soul's path, your destiny, your higher purpose, because everything has a purpose, but I call it your higher purpose, then it's not going to bode well for you financially, ethically, morally, physically, emotionally, or mentally. You might earn money, but it's not going to be sustainable. And so what I learned was, unless you're following your heart, unless you're following something that you're really aligned with, it's, even though from the outside looking in, it looks like success, it's never going to be successful for you. You're never going to find true happiness. For me, it wasn't law. For many people, it is law, but for me, it wasn't.
Yeah, such wisdom there. Now, you then went on this journey. You came out of corporate after you've had these experiences, and I'm assuming it was a gradual shift for you. And then you went to India. Why India?
Well, long story short, just magical things started to happen, weird things, the synchronicities started to happen. Once I started studying with the meditation teacher, he ran these weekly classes. So I started studying with him. He was a trained Buddhist and also trained in Hinduism, so a Vedic priest. So I started learning about Eastern philosophies and started training with him. And what happened was I started to have these little things that would come up, and people would be saying, go here, try this, try that. And one day I met another lawyer and she was in the meditation class, and she said, why don't you come and try this class that's been run by this Australian guru? She's amazing. She's a former barrister. She's doing incredible things. And I went to satsang, and satsang is like a community that gathers every Sunday, and it's music, meditation, mantra. And I went to this satsang. I remember sitting down. It was in a hall full of there were about 200 people then.
Wow.
And she was up at the front and she spoke a little bit, and then she led us through a guided meditation and healing. And then they had blessings at the end, and music and blessings. And I lost it. Like, I could not stop crying. It's like my heart just cracked open. And I found myself feeling all these feelings I'd never felt before. I felt love. I felt this energy of love and compassion and togetherness and unity. And my intellectual brain was very resistant to it. And my thought was like sucking it up. I couldn't get enough. And I I went up and received a blessing, and it was just like bolts of energy fanging through my body. The most profound experience I'd ever had. And then I learned about that she was taking this group on retreat to India. And I couldn't say, there was just something inside of me that just wanted to go.
Yeah.
it was a time where I had to make a decision, because at the time I'd transitioned out of a law firm and I was working for myself. I was running my own business, and I had to either stop that or go back into law. And so I decided to go on this trip to India, and I found a credit card. And the credit card, I didn't even remember I had this credit card. And the credit card was an Ignite one. It was a Virgin Ignite. It had Ignite on the top of it.
Yeah.
And this retreat was called Ignite Your Spirit Retreat.
Oh, I love amazing things like that.
Yeah. And so I took the credit card to the bank to see if it had any credit on it. And she's like, yeah, it's fully credited up. There's nothing owing on it. So I paid for the retreat on the credit card because I didn't have the money. And again, it was one of the most profound things. I received initiations there. I could see it. My psychic abilities switched on. I could see in a plane things. I could see people's souls, auras, chakras. I could read people's energies. It was wild, and amazing at the same time. So profound.
What an amazing experience. And I think one that a lot of people would so love to have if they only chose it, right? You went on a journey from this very corporate place into this very spiritual place. And now you marry the two together in such a beautiful blend. Can you tell me more about your business and how you do that?
Yes. So the offerings that I have in my business, I work with people one-on-one, so private mentoring. I also run retreats. So these I call profound purpose retreats. And we go to sacred lands or areas on the planet that have got massive energy vortexes or energy lines, or are known to be sacred places. So ashrams, I take people to the outback of Australia to initiated land there, and we work with Indigenous people. In ashrams, we go and work with real gurus, real masters who have changed my life, and any sacred place around the planet. I also offer group programs. People can, and they're either live or they are recorded, pre-recorded. I do live events, lots of speaking. So there's many ways in which I share what I do. And I call it fusion. Okay. So it's a fusion over East meets West. So I use that logical, rational brain of mine when I'm mentoring people. So I bring all of those skills in, and I'm trained in psychosynthesis, which is a combination of psychology as well as spirituality. And then I bring all of the Eastern technologies that I've learned from the yogis, from the masters, and so we work with energy. So we work on clients, we work on physical, mental, emotional, and energetic levels. And that way we work on transforming the person from the inside out. So it's that internal dynamics. Because the one thing that I learned from studying in the East is everything is an inside job. If we are struggling outside in our life, it's because there's something inside of us that we're not aware of. Usually it's in our blind spot. And I help people uncover their blind spots and then work on that part of themselves. Because we often do this CPD, continual professional development, and most mentors, coaches, they work on external leadership skills, external skills in your business. What are the strategies in your business? But then forget about the person. And so it's a much more holistic way that I work with people, and we work on, okay, so how is your energy today? How are you feeling today? What's your mindset like? And these are the things that sabotage us, that are in our blind spots that we're not aware of. And this then opens the person to the miraculous, and we make the seemingly impossible possible, because anything is possible when you know how to work the business of yourself. That's what I call it. It's like, how do you manage your emotions? How do you master them? How do you get emotionally fit, mentally fit, energetically fit, and then also physically fit if that's needed?
Yep, such a beautiful holistic approach. And I think, like you said, it's one that tends to be neglected quite a lot. People don't tend to think of, it's just I'm running my business. And it's okay, well, what about yourself? There's no business without the self. And especially when you're running like a personal brand and being a leader or a spokesperson or the face of a change or a movement or something like that, you need to bring the whole self along for the ride. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of courage to go and do that work, but so much easier when you've got a mentor who's been there and done that. So that's amazing. Tell me, who do you love to work with? Who's like your favorite dream client?
Typically women,
Mhm.
although I do work with men, and women who are ambitious, they're driven, they're go-getters. They're looking to run a business. They're looking to start a business. They're looking to start a passion project, and they're in corporate and they know they need to leave and do something that's more meaningful and purposeful to them. Or they're leaders in a large organization and they've hit a glass ceiling and they want to go to that next level. Or they are looking to make leadership in some way, but define it differently. So they're looking to carve a place in corporate that looks different so that they're doing something meaningful and purposeful in a corporate environment in a way that feeds them, that they love. And then anyone who knows that they're a change maker, that they're here to make a big change, but they haven't got to it yet. I help them overcome whatever they're doing. It's often self-sabotage. It's often in their blind spot. Help them work with that so that they can really get their project going. And then we do for entrepreneurs, we do all that business mentoring as well. So that all comes into it as well. So it's
Yeah.
not just the internal dynamics. We look at their business as well. In leadership, we look at communication style and speaking style. So all of that, as well as the energy work, as well as that internal work. So that's the kind of people I love working with, who are making really a transition, or they're looking to make a transition and they're terrified. They don't have a roadmap. They don't know where to start. We map it all out for them and help them take them small steps that are safe, that just get them there. And it's rapid. The work I do it's very fast. They get fast transformation because we do the inside as well as the outside work.
Yeah, amazing. Now, what's next for you? Do we have any retreats coming up? What are things looking like for you at the moment?
I've got a free webinar coming up. It's mainly for women to access their feminine leadership power. That's happening. And then also I've got a 4-week program that I offer 4 times a year for women who are looking to up level their leadership, either in their business or in their corporate field, or even women who are at home and they're looking to return back to the workforce after having kids. So any woman really, any woman in the community, politicians, I work with politicians who are looking to um, outreach to a greater audience. And that's called Accessing Your Feminine Leadership Power. So it's a 4-week program to help women overcome self-sabotage, reconnect to their feminine leadership power, and really up level their impact in whatever sphere they're working in or want to work in their lives.
Sounds amazing. Amazing. I will share the links to all of that in the show notes of this episode. Now, you are writing a solo book, which is super exciting. And tell us a bit more about that. What can we expect to see from you over the next couple of months?
It is very exciting. It's terrifying also, as you all know. And in any new project, right? Any new project that you start, it's all terrifying if you haven't done it before. So it's my first solo book and it's commissioned by Hay House and it's called The 9 Realizations, How to Become Your Own Guru. So
Amazing.
basically, it's a book about how the key 9 things that you need to know about yourself to overcome any limitation that's going on in your life to help you become more self-realized. And the way that I'm writing it, it's very conversational. So it's an easy read. So it's made for busy people and they can easily pick it up and it'll be like a roadmap for people to up level themselves, be their best version selves, know how their internal dynamics work, understand how to connect with and how to master their emotions, how to master their mindset, how to master their energy. And if they're interested, how to connect more deeply with their soul. And an explanation for Western people of like, what is a soul? What do you actually mean by spirituality? Because a lot of Westerners believe, they think of spirituality and they think of people maybe running around a fire and dancing naked, whatever. And it's, for me, spirituality is about having an accurate perception of what life is really about and truth and wisdom. and how you can plug into that. So you don't have the blind spots, that you cultivate awareness. You don't have to become a monk or a priest in order to do that. It's about how to be a yogi really in everyday life and bring all of those superpowers into what you're doing and doing it in a way that's really meaningful and purposeful. So you reach your highest purpose, your highest destiny, and work on growing and evolving your soul.
Yeah, I love that simplified version that you gave of what spirituality is. Now, I'm totally down for dancing around the fire, but that's my type of
Yeah.
fun, I guess. But spirituality really is a way of living it. It's a part of life, and you can't separate it, even if you don't identify yourself as a spiritual person. It's just a part of you. And it's how do we marry that part in with the rest of our working lives, I suppose, and family and all the things that we have to do in modern society to keep going, I guess. Yeah, that's so exciting. I can't wait for that book to come out. It's going to be amazing, amazing resource for people to connect in and start to understand how to do just that and become their own guru, because everything they need is already inside of themselves, right? They don't need an external source to tell them. It's how do we tell ourselves and trust ourselves enough that the answer we get back is the truth for us.
Absolutely. And how do you tap into that? It's literally a roadmap to help you know how to tap into that for yourself.
So exciting. And Anjani, what was it like working with us here at Four Eagles Publishing? Can you share a bit about your experience?
Been phenomenal. I have to say that it has been the best experience for me writing this book. It's been my first book that I've written, and every step of the way, Four Eagles Publishing has held my hand and all the authors' hands. And you've literally done everything for us. No other publisher does this. And trust me, I know, because I've been touting my single book for a while now, and no other publisher does this. You literally do all the marketing, the socials, the graphics. You tell us what to do, when to do it. You help us get to Amazon bestseller, everything that there is to know about publishing a book and getting to bestseller. And for me, it's priceless. It's your point of difference. And you genuinely care. Like, you genuinely care. And that for me is priceless. And if anyone is thinking of writing a book, either single author or multi-author, going to Full Eagles Publishing, you've got it. Even the editing, I mean, everything. It's a full suite of everything that you need. And for business, you know what you're doing. And so I cannot recommend you highly enough. You're amazing.
Well, thank you so much. It's certainly something that I am so, so passionate about. And it just fills me with joy to watch these authors write, even if they're beginning authors, write and go through the process and realize just how amazing and important and worthy of sharing their message that they are. And it's just such a privilege for me and my team to journey alongside them as they write. So thank you so much, Anjali. Beautiful, beautiful words.
My pleasure.
Now, how can people find you?
I'm everywhere. You can find me on my website. Everything's under my name, Anjani Amriit. I'm on all the socials. I've got a YouTube channel, website, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. I'm pretty much on it.
Amazing. And I'll again put those links in the show notes so that people can just come and click and find you and connect with you, because there's a lot of wisdom and inspiration to be had in your space. Now, as I mentioned before, Anjali did write a chapter inside the book, Corporate Dropouts, as did 19 other amazing women who went from corporate careers into starting their own business, the struggles and triumphs they experienced along the way. By no means is it a book that's saying that corporate is bad and giving corporate hell. Some people are made to thrive there and others are not. There is no right or wrong. Either way, it is full of inspiration and tips for you to navigate transition, challenge, triumph, and learning to celebrate yourself and looking at what you're capable of when you have the courage to step out of your comfort zone. So if you haven't got a copy for yourself yet, head on over to Amazon, search Corporate Dropouts. It is available on Kindle as well as paperback and hardcover. If you know of somebody who would love the book, then please send them the link, or be a great human and buy them a copy and send it to them. Everybody loves gifts in the post. If you are wanting to participate in a multi-author book project like Anjani has, it can be a great stepping stone to your solo book, or it's just a great way to navigate your writing skills and transform and heal through the magic of writing. So you can come and write with us in a multi-author book project, or if you are wanting to write a solo book, come and play with us here at Four Eagles Publishing. We are passionate about getting your word out and your truth out in a way that resonates with you and the world at large. So you can find us at foureaglespublishing.com. Anjani, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom here today. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Pleasure too. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you love the insights and inspiration, don't let it end here. Hit subscribe to stay connected and turn your visions into reality alongside our community of changemakers. I'm Tarryn Reeves. Thank you for joining me. And remember, your story has power. See you in the next episode.